Happy Friday, guys. We have a nice 7-game slate to talk about here. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the channel. My name is DK. I make content for Draftkings for daily fantasy sports, Prize Picks, and NBA Top Shot. The sponsor of this video, guys, is Prize Picks, which is, again, a player prop site. Did a video giveaway yesterday. So how it's going to work is I'm going to make a separate video, and I'm going to look through all the comments, and I'm going to pick 5 of the top top player props that are in the comment section, and then post that in another video tomorrow. And if all 5 hit, I'll do a giveaway, and one of the 5 people that I selected will win that $50. So that's how it works. But yeah, with Prize Picks, again, you're just picking player props. You can take over under fantasy points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers made. You can mix and match sports. It's really, really fun to play. So if you guys want to give it a try, if you're a new user, you can sign up using my code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. And if you're big into Prize Picks, check out my video. That will be up right after this. And leave a comment with your favorite Prize Pick for tomorrow. I know the board, not a ton up yet, so I'll wait a little bit to make my second video tomorrow, going over all the comments. Okay, so let's take a look back lineup here from tonight. So just a subpar night for myself. Once again, I made a pivot that cost me, to no surprise, right? It's basically every single slate that happens, but once we got that Kevin Love starting news, I did pivot to get him in, which left me kind of in a weird salary range. So I went from Jonas Valanciunas, Justin Anderson, and Terry Taylor up to Kevin Love, Slow-Mo, and Goga Bitadze, just because once I went from JV to Love, I had some extra salary. So, I went to Slow-Mo and Goga, who were both fine, but neither played in the blowout, while Chalk, Justin Anderson, and Chalk, Terry Taylor both played in the blowout. So the blowout actually really, really hurt me there. But yeah, Porzingis was a letdown. That was a little bit disappointing. But other than that, that was a look back. Core was Drew, Levine, Portis, and Tyus Jones, who were all, again, very, very popular there. But I wanted to get a little bit different. I knew a lot of people would go to Jokic, who actually had a bad game tonight. So yeah, I went to Porzingis' contrarian play. Didn't work out, but I don't regret that play at all. I'm a little bit tilted that my original build probably would have been cashing, but again, never. 99% of the time I make a change, it's going to go in the wrong direction. But that's it for the look back, guys. Winning lineup in the Thunderdome: Tyus Jones, Levine, Justin Anderson, who smashed Terry Taylor. Again, these two were very, very popular. Vucevic, Drew Holiday, Slow-Mo, and Jokic, which was basically my exact same line, I think, as Jonas Valanciunas here. Or pretty similar line to my original build. But yeah, again, Jokic 75%, Holiday 75%, Terry 75%, Levine 100%. Very, very chalky slate. Okay, so let's talk about the 7-game. We'll start on the Utah side. Great matchup here. Still no Bogdanovic. We'll see about the status of Whiteside. Top 2 guys, Mitchell and Gobert, I think both look pretty good. Mitchell going to play huge minutes. Should play, close to 40 minutes. And does have a very high ceiling, and I like the matchup a lot. So I think he looks pretty good. I think Gobert makes her a pretty safe play as well. Should play, low 30s minutes. And like the spot here against the Charlotte Hornets front court. As far as the other guards go, I think Conley and Clarkson are both in play here. Conley should play over 30 minutes in a competitive game. Last game was a blowout, so don't be super worried there. I think Clarkson's been playing pretty big minutes on the bench as well. I would assume he plays at least 30. He only played 27 again because of the massive blowout. But yeah, I think the 2 other guards in the mid-range for the Utah look okay. Definitely don't play NAW, my boy, who's basically not in the rotation. Riz Lanier 3-9. He's a safe value play. He's probably not going to kill you. Probably won't win you a tournament, but most likely get you 15 to 20. So yeah, I think he's actually a pretty safe play. As far as the rest go, they did start Eric Pascal last game. If he starts again, I think he's a fair play, 3.3. Rudy Gay's been up and down, but I guess he's viable as well. On the Charlotte side, so LaMelo Ball finally played minutes, right? He played 39 minutes. It's been frustrating because at times, so they're only playing him like 30 minutes. But when the minutes are there, he's going to produce. So Utah is not the same defensive team as they have been in years past, right? So we definitely still target players against Utah. I think LaMelo Ball, like if you're confident he's going to play close to 40 minutes, I think he definitely is underpriced. The only issue is, will the minutes be there? Rozier, Bridges, fine contrarian options, but I would rather go to LaMelo if I'm going to go to one of the main guys there for the Hornets. As far as the bigs, Washington, Plumlee, and Harrell, I think my favorite is Plumlee just because of the matchup. Like, I don't really think PJ Washington or Montrezl Harrell can handle Rudy Gobert on the glass. I think Plumlee's probably their best bet to try to stop him. So I think we probably get mid-20s Mets and Plumlee, which at 4.7K I think makes him a pretty decent GPP option. Washington and Detroit. So again, Porzingis was awful tonight. Just started so slow. I think he had like 1 rebound, 0 for 3 in like 8 minutes in the first quarter. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's something that's gonna go. But yeah, Porzingis obviously has a ceiling. The minutes have been 32 back-to-back games. So assuming he plays, I think he's a decent contrarian play. Kuzma, don't expect him to play. We'll monitor that. Like mid-range guys like Denny and Rui should play 25 to 30 minutes. They're both fair values. KCP, fine as well, but again, pretty score independent in his revenge game spot. Kispert, again, one of those where it's like, yeah, probably not going to kill you. Probably not going to win you a tournament. He looks like an okay value. Gafford at 3.7, unless Porzingis sits, is more of a secondary play. If Porzingis does sit, then Gafford obviously looks really, really good. And then that trio point guards, Ish Smith, Neto, and Sato. Good luck trying to figure out what the mid's going to be for those guys. On the Detroit side, Cade Cunningham, again, every time I play him, he's in foul trouble. Every time I don't, he absolutely smashes. So last game, he picked up 2 quick fouls when I had him. But I do like the matchup a lot for him. Minutes-wise, should be mid-30s. So I just don't love the price point. That's the only issue with Cade. Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, both feel a little bit pricey. I know Grant's played well of late, but I don't want to chase that. There's not a lot else that stands out to me on the Pistons side. I guess Killian Hayes is okay at 4-1 for tournaments. He had a big game last game, but it was a blowout. So, yeah, kind of an unappealing team. On the Golden State side, so still no Steph Curry. Jordan Poole at 7.8. I feel like it's still a little bit too cheap. He's going to play close to 40 minutes, and he is going to be one of their main playmakers. 6 and 9 assists over the last couple games. So I think Poole looks really solid here. Still feels a little bit underpriced. Klay Thompson feels a little bit overpriced. He can still have a ceiling. But a little bit more score independent as opposed to Poole, who'll do more of the ball handling. Wiggins feels a little bit pricey as well. Draymond Green, they're capping him at around 30 minutes, so doesn't really stand out to me. I will mention Otto Porter has played pretty well off the bench last few games, playing like mid-20s minutes. I think he's a decent option. I do think last couple games, 16 and 15 rebounds are definitely outlier performances, but if he's going to play mid-20s minutes, I think he's a fair option. Kuminga probably goes back to around 20, makes him a viable tournament play. The Mets have been trending down on Looney, so probably not going to go there. On the Atlanta side, Trae Young, 10-7, feels a little bit pricey, but I don't mind him as a contrarian GPP play. Capella was awful last game. They benched him. I would assume he goes back to 25 to 30 minutes, which makes him a fair play there in the mid-range. The rest of Atlanta, Bogdanovich and Herter and Gallinari and Hunter all just look okay. I guess my preferred option probably would be Gallo, who's played now over 30 minutes in the last 3 games, but there's no like standouts there. Okongwu will play the backup 5. If you think Capella struggles, you can go to him. Like he'll play around 18 to 20 minutes, so he's a fair play. But if for some reason Capella struggles, then Okongwu could play a little bit more. New York and Miami, so awful matchup here, but we do have 2 big pieces of news. Randall and Mitchell Robinson, both questionable. If they both cannot go, I think the guy that stands out the most to me at first would be Obi Toppin, who played 40 minutes last game, just because the center position would be locked down with Jericho Sims and Taj Gibson. So Obi would probably have to play all the minutes he could handle. So would really like Obi, even though it's a bad matchup. But then RJ Barrett should also have very high usage and probably play around 40 minutes. So those 2 would stand out to me, even in a tough matchup if Randall and Mitchell Robinson are both out. And then you can dabble in some Burks and some quickly in Fournier. I think they look okay. Again, the center position will be Taj and Sims. Neither are super productive players. I think they split it pretty evenly. I would probably lean Taj over Sims, but they both look pretty similar to me. They're just fair values. Now, if Mitchell Robinson and Randall both play, then it's a different story. Then I don't know if there's anything that stands out. Maybe a contrarian Mitchell Robinson and hope he stays out of foul trouble, but then the Knicks would be pretty unappealing if they both play. On the Miami side, can they stop listing the whole team is questionable? It's impossible to break down. So we have Jimmy, Hero, Martin, Robinson, Tucker, all questionable. If they all miss, obviously Lowry and Bam are going to look really, really good. Value like Struss and Morris and whoever else is active would be in play. So it's really hard to say. If all the questionable guys are in, there's nothing that really stands out to me on the Miami side. So again, Miami's just too hard to say right now. Dallas and Minnesota, I think Luka bounces back here. I know he had a tough game last game against Minnesota. Same spot here. I do think that will lower the ownership recency bias. People will see that matchup against Minnesota and see that he struggled and probably avoid him. I'm fine going right back to Luka. So yeah, sure. He's had a couple of bad shooting games of late. doesn't matter at all to me. I still think he's one of the better setups in the slate. So still like Luka. Brunson Dinwiddie overpriced with Luka back. Powell's played better of late, but he's almost 5K. Kleba, I guess, is okay, 3.8K. He'll play the backup 5, probably play mid-20s minutes. He's probably my second favorite play on the Dallas side. Minnesota, so Cat's questionable, but expect him to play. He's been questionable last couple games. So, like, Cat, Edwards, D'Lo, make for all solid GBP plays. One of these guys probably has a good game. The price points have dropped a bit in Edwards and D'Lo. It's a little bit easier to get to those guys, but still, Dallas has been tough defensively. The guy that stands out to me is Patrick Beverly at 4.7. He's going to play around 30 minutes, assuming he doesn't get ejected or injured. And he's a guy that can kind of do everything for the team. So I think Patrick Beverly makes for a very safe value play. Vanderbilt, low to mid-20s minutes, I think is a fair guess for him, which makes him, viable. Malik Beasley, viable tournament play off the bench, low 20s minutes, kind of score independent, but does have a ceiling. Torian Prince has been in the rotation. Naz Reid, if Cat gets in foul trouble, will play more. Obviously, is a good point per minute guy. So, kind of a large field tournament play, but he's always someone you can consider. Houston and Portland. So, two awful teams going up against each other. Should actually be a decent game for DFS purposes. Then Christian Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. both stand out to me. 8.2 for Christian Wood. This game should stay competitive. So I think Wood looks really solid. I think Kevin Porter Jr. looks really good. I expect mid-30s minutes are both in the spot. So those two look good. Jalen Green at 5.6 I think looks pretty solid as well. He's been consistently playing over 30 minutes. A little bit more scoring dependent. So he has a little bit of a lower floor. But I think he's still firmly in play. I don't hate Jay Sean Tate. He's been in some foul trouble. I think low to mid-20s minutes is a fair guess for him, which makes him a viable value. And then just a lot of guys look similar, like Sengun and Schroeder and Martin and Gordon. I don't know if there's any standouts here. I mean, Gordon is 3.4K, but the minutes have slowly been ticking down on him, right? 21, 25, and 23 over the last 3 games. On the Portland side, so we got confirmation that Hart and Winslow is out. I believe Simons is going to be out as well. I looked at Underdog, though. I don't think I saw confirmation on that, but I don't think he plays. So assuming Simons is out, Portland's going to be pretty shorthanded. They started Chris Dunn last game. If he starts again, I think he stands out as one of the better values. Didn't really get a minutes bump, but he's been productive, and this is a good matchup. He can stuff the stat sheet. So I like Chris Dunn either way. As far as the bigs go, Watford and Eubanks both look decent in the mid-range here. Eubanks been consistently playing around 30 minutes. Watford as well. Watford does have that power forward eligibility. So both those bigs look pretty good. Brandon Williams started the second half last game when Winslow was out. So we'll see if they start Williams and Dunn together. If they do, Williams obviously playable, but a little bit harder to get to with his price point as opposed to Chris Dunn. The rest of the value, it's hard to trust anyone. Ellaby at 4.2 is playable. I think low 20s minutes is a fair guess for him. Mackmore, we know has a ceiling if he knock down his shots. He's actually shot relatively well of late, but has a very low floor if he's missing his shots. Keon Johnson has been awful. Greg Brown at 34, not the worst point per minute guy, not a bad point per minute guy. Only played 12 minutes here because of massive foul trouble. 27 in the other 2 games. So, if we get over 20 minutes from Greg Brown at 3.4, I think that makes him look okay. And the final game here, Philadelphia and the Clippers. So on the Philadelphia side, I think Joel Embiid and Harden both look decent. Embiid being my preferred option of the two, though. Had a great first 3 quarters against the Lakers. I think he had 53 and then did nothing in the fourth. But like the spot a lot there for Embiid. Again, Harden has kind of taken a back seat of late, but he's still playable. Maxey and Harris feel a little bit overpriced. The rest of Philadelphia, there's nothing that stands out to me. And finally, the Clippers side. So, this team. So, we got news that Reggie Jackson going to be limited to 32 minutes. Marcus Morris to 25 and Batum to 19 for the rest of the regular season. So, don't think we can get to any of those guys. Zubac, if he stays out of foul trouble, probably plays 25 to 30 minutes, but there's a good chance he gets in some foul trouble. If you think he gets in foul trouble, you can look to Hartenstein at 5K, would play the backup 5. We know he's a good point per minute guy. So the 2 centers are in play there for the Clippers. I don't think there's going to be any limitations on him, so I would think he plays as many minutes as he can handle, which I think makes him playable there in the mid-range. And then some of this value with those other guys being limited, like Kennard and Coffee, I think are playable 4.3 and 4.2K respectively. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. So really appreciate all your support. Thanks again. Again, if you do just make sure to hit the like button. Helps me out a ton. Let's aim for 100 likes, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see everyone in the next video.